The story begins when an unconscious Jen came up on an island after losing her boat during an accident. Upon waking, she spots her friend Brad nearby and rushes over, only to find a large piece of coral protruding from his stomach. She screams for help, but silence surrounds her. Grabbing the flare gun from his vest, she drags him away from the shore. After removing the coral, she tries to bandage the wound with fabric, but all Brad can ask is, "Did you see it?" Thinking he needs water, Jen dashes into the jungle, finds a coconut, and breaks it open. Tragically, when she returns, Brad is lifeless. Jen then wanders the island, but her beach stroll leads her in circles back to where she began. Venturing into the jungle, she discovers old items scattered about. Again, she calls for help, but no one responds. Searching a bag, she finds medicine, and in a cooler, sealed soda bottles. Under some leaves, she uncovers a small metal box containing matches, sailcloth, and a bag of toys. Suddenly, a strange noise catches her attention. Investigating, she finds a hollow tree and is startled by a bird that bursts out. Afterward, she covers Brad's body with large leaves. As the sun sets, she seeks shelter before the rain begins, wrapping herself in sailcloth and leaving some items out to catch water. The next morning, Jen discovers a multitude of dead fish washed ashore and starts gathering them in a bag. To her horror, she also finds a dead shark, its body marred by deep gashes. Using rocks, she decapitates the fish and stores them in a cooler for later meals. While rummaging through another bag, she stumbles upon a notebook, but the water has rendered the text unreadable. Among the pages is a photo of a couple, intensifying her sense of loneliness. On her next exploration, she encounters piles of rocks and a cross-shaped branch, realizing they mark graves. Inspired, she digs a hole in the sand for Brad's decaying body, covering it with leaves and sand, and marks the grave with a piece of wood bearing his initial. That night, she hangs a sailcloth, which bears gashes similar to the shark's, and lights a fire to cook the fish. The following morning, Jen is horrified to find Brad's body missing and the grave soaked in blood. Sensing danger, she crafts a spear from a rock and a branch and sets up a log for support to keep watch over the jungle. Eventually, exhaustion takes over and she drifts off to sleep, only to be startled awake by a strange noise. Unable to see anything in the darkness, she attributes it to the fire. The next day, she spots some items floating nearby and wades into the water to collect them. Before heading back, she dives down to explore further and is stunned to discover a mysterious hole in the ocean floor. Fearful, she retreats to the shore with her newfound treasures. In a suitcase, Jen discovers warm clothes and quickly changes. That night, she revisits the box and finds photos of the deceased owners. Suddenly, a plane flies overhead, prompting her to rush to the shore and fire a flare, but it goes unnoticed. As the flare sinks, it casts a shadow of a tall, eerie creature. Panicked, Jen grabs her spear and hides in the jungle. The monster roams the island, searching but missing her entirely. The next morning, Jen finds her camp in disarray, and old photos reveal the monster's eyes lurking in the background. Determined to escape, she stuffs life vests into the suitcase, hoping to use it as a raft. However, it proves too unstable, and she angrily tosses it back onto the sand. As night falls, she seeks refuge in a hollow tree. Awakened by the monster's arrival, she holds her breath as it rolls her log, shaking it violently. After a tense standoff, the creature loses interest and departs. Days turn into a survival routine, fishing by day, hiding by night. After much practice, Jen finally spears a small shark, hanging it on a tree before retreating to her hiding spot, only to hear the monster dragging her catch away. Later, the waves deliver another body to the shore. Jen inspects it and finds horrific facial injuries from the monster, plus it's missing its legs. She hangs the body from a tree and hides in her hole, determined to stay awake and watch for the creature. It soon returns, dragging the body down to feast. Just then, Jen hears a plane overhead and gasps, but she can't move as the monster prowls nearby. When it fails to find her, it drifts to the ocean, but the plane is already gone. The next day, Jen crafts a hammock from sailcloth, belts and rope, hanging it high in the trees for a better vantage point and safety from the monster. That night, as she relaxes in her hammock, she spots the creature lurking in the bushes. Suddenly, it tugs at the ropes, causing Jen to scream and struggle until she falls. She bolts as the monster pursues her, leaping in and out of the water to gain speed. It eventually blocks her path, and in a panic, Jen stabs it with her spear, but the beast retaliates, throwing her onto the sand. It strikes again, sending her into the water, but a sudden thunderclap startles the monster away. Jen decides to climb a tree to sleep through the rain, despite the discomfort. In the morning, she inspects her leg and finds a nasty wound. While washing and changing clothes, she spots a life raft floating nearby and dives into the water to reach it. Inside the raft are Lucas and Mia, Brad's girlfriend. Jen helps them ashore, and they embrace tightly. She shares her fish and sodas while trying to warn them about the monster, urging them to leave on the raft. Despite showing them a picture and mentioning Brad's death, Lucas and Mia dismiss her, believing she's imagining things. They refuse to return to the raft, claiming the isolation nearly drove them insane. Jen decides to fetch more food, borrowing Lucas' Swiss knife. While cleaning the fish, she spots blood on the blade, raising her suspicions. She tries to persuade them to leave again, leading to a heated argument where Lucas shouts at her. Seizing the moment when they're distracted, Jen packs her things and pushes the raft into the ocean. Lucas and Mia notice and rush to stop her. In the struggle, Lucas grabs Jen and she accidentally kicks Mia. Enraged, Mia retaliates with an OR, knocking Jen out. When Jen regains consciousness at night, she finds herself tied to a tree. Her friends refuse to untie her, and Mia steps away for privacy. Lucas vents about Jen's attitude, recalling their fun times on the boat and her threats to break up. Jen feels it's not the time for relationship talks, but Lucas continues berating her for having no home or money, insisting she had no right to try to leave him on the island after all he's done. Jen insists on leaving and promises to talk later, but Lucas can't help but notice she sounds just like his friend Zach, though he keeps the details to himself. Meanwhile, Mia strolls along the shore and spots fish remnants in the water. Suddenly, a scream pierces the air. It's Mia. Lucas grabs a torch and rushes to her aid, only to find a monster attacking her. He swings the torch, but the creature tosses him aside and drags Mia into the depths. By the time Jen frees herself from the ropes, it's too late, only blood stains the water. The next morning, Lucas reluctantly agrees to leave with Jen on a raft. They catch fish and cook them over a fire made from their last match, preparing for their journey. As they set off, Jen is shocked to find bloodstains in the raft. While Lucas rows, he catches sight of the creature lurking beneath them. Its claws reach for him, forcing Lucas to duck inside as Jen sails the raft. The monster persists, scratching at the bottom until it breaks through, poking its head inside. Jen kicks it away, and Lucas frantically fires the flare gun. He misses the first shot, but the second flare finds its mark in the beast's mouth. Seizing the moment, they drive it back into the water with a spear. For a heartbeat, they believe they're safe, but the creature lunges through the raft, dragging Jen underwater to its lair. As she fights against its grip, she recalls Lucas' dagger and stabs the beast, forcing it to release her. Just then, it spots Lucas diving in to save her and swiftly pulls him into the depths. Heartbroken, Jen swims to shore, noticing a flicker of flame still alive from their earlier fire. She rushes to rekindle it, then grabs a notebook to write a letter detailing their plight in case she doesn't survive. With a plan forming, she gathers wood, leaves, and begins digging, discovering a skeleton along the way, which she decides to use for her strategy. As night descends, the monster emerges, drawn by the scent of fish. When it approaches the bait, Jen ignites pyres to trap it. She surprises the beast with a spear thrust before hiding behind a tree. Waiting for the right moment, she aims for its back with a bone, but is knocked down. Undeterred, she stabs it again, even as it retaliates, sending her sprawling. Seeing the creature bleed, Jen presses on, relentlessly attacking with every bone she can find, enduring its blows in the process. The creature hurls Jen into the sand, but she retaliates, stabbing its arm to escape. It grips her legs, pulling her in for the kill. In a frantic act, Jen brandishes a bone shard and drives it into its previous wound, forcing the beast to let go. It slashes her one last time, but the agony weakens it. Jen seizes the chance, racing to the beach for more spears. The monster follows, but after a thunderous roar, it collapses. Still breathing, Jen plunges a spear into it until it lies still. She then uses a shard of its tough shell to decapitate it. Jen walks toward the boat, the forest flames flickering darkly behind her, indicating the end of her story.